The Zodiac Killer. This name still sends chills down the spines of people in California and beyond. The mere mention of the Zodiac Killer evokes a sense of dread and mystery, a dark chapter in the annals of American crime history. In the late 1960s, this unknown person spread terror with a series of murders. The era was marked by social upheaval and change, yet the Zodiac's actions added a layer of fear and uncertainty to the lives of many. His hunting ground was Northern California, where he targeted young couples. These were innocent people enjoying their youth and freedom, unaware that a predator lurked in the shadows. The Zodiac Killer was unlike any other criminal. He was methodical, calculating, and seemed to derive pleasure from the fear he instilled in the public. He loved attention and wanted the world to know his name. His letters to the press were filled with arrogance and a chilling sense of superiority. He became infamous for his cryptic messages, taunting letters, and horrifying threats. These communications were not just a means to an end, they were a twisted form of entertainment for him. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror started in December 1968. The holiday season, a time usually filled with joy and celebration, was marred by his first brutal act. His first victims were two teenagers, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. They were young, full of life, and had their whole futures ahead of them. They were on their first date, parked on a lover's lane in Benicia. It was supposed to be a night of romance and excitement, but it ended in tragedy. The killer approached their car and shot them both. The suddenness and brutality of the attack left the community in shock. This brutal crime shocked the community. People were left wondering who could commit such a heinous act and why. Little did they know, it was just the beginning of a nightmare. The Zodiac Killer was far from done, and his future actions would only deepen the fear and confusion. The police started their investigation, but there were few clues. The lack of evidence made it difficult to track down the perpetrator. The killer was a phantom, melting away into the night after each attack. His ability to evade capture only added to his terrifying mystique. The Zodiac Killer's motive remained a horrifying mystery. What drove him to kill? Was it a desire for power, a need for recognition, or something even more sinister? He seemed to kill for the thrill of it, for the feeling of power. Each murder was a statement, a way to assert his dominance over the lives of others. His crimes were carefully planned, and he always seemed to be one step ahead of the law. The police were left scrambling, trying to piece together the puzzle of his identity and motives. The Zodiac's letters were filled with cryptic symbols and ciphers, challenging the authorities and the public to decode his messages. These puzzles were not just a way to communicate, they were a game, a twisted form of interaction with the world. The community was gripped by fear. Parents kept their children close, and young couples avoided secluded areas. The Zodiac's presence was felt everywhere, even if he was nowhere to be seen. News reports and interviews with police officers and community members painted a picture of a society on edge. The Zodiac Killer had managed to infiltrate the collective consciousness, turning everyday life into a landscape of fear and suspicion. Each new letter from the Zodiac was a fresh wound, a reminder that he was still out there, watching, waiting. The sound of typewriter keys became synonymous with dread. Detectives worked tirelessly, poring over case files and maps, trying to find a pattern, a clue that would lead them to the killer. But the Zodiac was always one step ahead, a ghost in the night. Decades have passed since the Zodiac's reign of terror, but the scars remain. Northern California has moved on, but the memory of those dark days lingers. Crime historians, psychologists, and law enforcement experts continue to study the case, trying to understand the mind of the Zodiac Killer. What drove him to such acts of violence? What can we learn from his crimes? Advances in forensic technology and police training have changed the landscape of criminal investigations. Yet, the Zodiac case remains a haunting reminder of the challenges law enforcement faces in the pursuit of justice. The Zodiac Killer may never be caught, and his true identity may remain a mystery. But his story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human soul. Months after the first attack, the Zodiac struck again. The fear that had begun to settle in the hearts of the residents was reignited with a new wave of terror. This time, it was in July 1969 at the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. The serene park, usually a place of relaxation and joy, became the backdrop for another horrifying crime. Michael Mageau and Darlene Ferrin were sitting in their car, enjoying a quiet evening together, when a man approached them. The couple, unaware of the impending danger, had no time to react. He fired multiple shots, killing Darlene Ferrin and seriously injuring Michael Mageau. The car, once a symbol of their peaceful evening, was now riddled with bullet holes, a grim reminder of the violence that had occurred. Michael Mageau survived the attack and provided a crucial description of the killer. His survival was nothing short of miraculous, and his testimony became a beacon of hope for the investigators. He described the assailant as a heavy-set white male, about 5'8" tall. This description, though vague, was the first tangible lead the police had in their pursuit of the Zodiac. This was the first real lead in the case, but the Zodiac remained elusive. Despite the efforts of the police, the killer seemed always to be one step ahead, taunting them with his letters and cryptic messages. Then came the Labor Day weekend of 1969. The holiday, usually a time of celebration and joy, was overshadowed by the fear of another attack. Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell were picnicking at Lake Berryessa. The picturesque setting, with its calm waters and scenic views, seemed like the perfect place for a peaceful afternoon. A man approached them, wearing a bizarre hooded costume with a Zodiac symbol on it. The sight of the hooded figure must have been surreal, like something out of a nightmare. He tied them up and stabbed them both multiple times. The brutality of the attack was shocking, leaving the serene lakeside stained with blood. Cecilia Shepard died from her injuries, but Brian Hartnell miraculously survived. His survival, like Mageau's, was a testament to human resilience and became another crucial piece of the puzzle for the investigators. He, like Michael Mageau, provided valuable information about the attacker and his strange attire. The details he shared about the hooded costume added a new layer of mystery to the case. These attacks terrified the public. The Zodiac's ability to strike at random, leaving a trail of fear and confusion, made him a figure of dread. The unknown killer was growing bolder, striking in broad daylight and leaving witnesses alive. His audacity was both his signature and his challenge to the authorities. People were afraid to go out at night, and the police were under immense pressure to catch the Zodiac. The once lively streets became deserted as fear gripped the community, and the police worked tirelessly, knowing that the next attack could come at any moment. The police held numerous meetings, strategizing and examining every piece of evidence. They knew that the key to catching the Zodiac lay in the details, and they were determined to leave no stone unturned. Families discussed the news with a mix of fear and fascination. The Zodiac killer had become a dark legend, a topic of hushed conversations and speculative theories. Detectives worked late into the night, sifting through stacks of files and reports. The case consumed their lives, each clue a potential breakthrough, each dead end a source of frustration. Community meetings were held, where people expressed their concerns and fears. The Zodiac's reign of terror had united the community in a shared sense of vulnerability and determination to see justice served. Police sketches and maps of attack locations were meticulously analyzed. The pattern of the Zodiac's movements was elusive, but the investigators hoped that a clearer picture would eventually emerge. Police officers increased their patrols, and community watch groups began to form. The collective effort to catch the Zodiac was a testament to the community's resilience and determination. The Zodiac's letters, filled with cryptic symbols and codes, were a constant reminder of his presence. Each letter was a taunt, a challenge to the authorities, and a puzzle that needed to be solved. Code breakers and amateur sleuths alike attempted to decipher the Zodiac's messages. The cryptic nature of his communications added an intellectual challenge to the already complex case. Press conferences were held regularly, with the police addressing the media and the public. The updates were both a source of information and a reassurance that the authorities were doing everything in their power to catch the killer. People took extra precautions, locking their doors and staying vigilant. The Zodiac's shadow loomed large over the community, but the collective resolve to see him brought to justice remained strong. Detectives continued to review evidence, hoping that the next piece would be the one to crack the case. The Zodiac's letters, filled with taunts and clues, were both a source of frustration and a potential key to his identity. Despite the fear, the community came together, supporting each other through the ordeal. The Zodiac killer's reign of terror had brought out both the worst and the best in people, highlighting the strength and resilience of the human spirit. The symbol of the Zodiac killer became infamous, a mark of fear and mystery. But for the police and the community, it was also a symbol of the ongoing fight for justice, a reminder that they would not rest until the killer was caught. What truly set the Zodiac killer apart was his need to inject himself into the case. He began a twisted game with the authorities and the public. He sent letters to newspapers boasting about his crimes and threatening more to come. These letters were filled with chilling details, often beginning with the phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking." The letters were often accompanied by ciphers, coded messages that the Zodiac claimed revealed his identity. The killer seemed to revel in the terror he was causing, using the media to spread fear and uncertainty. One of the most chilling aspects of the Zodiac case was his phone calls. He called into live television shows, claiming to be the Zodiac and confessing to his crimes. These calls were terrifying for viewers and frustrating for investigators who tried in vain to trace the calls. The letters, ciphers, and phone calls were all part of a twisted game for the Zodiac. He was a master manipulator, controlling the narrative and keeping himself in the public eye. One of the most enduring mysteries of the Zodiac killer case is the meaning behind his chosen symbol. This symbol, a simple yet ominous crosshair, has intrigued and baffled investigators, criminologists, and the public for decades. It wasn't just a random choice, it was a deliberate and calculated decision that added to the enigma of the Zodiac killer. He used a crosshair symbol like the ones used on gun sights throughout his communications. This choice of symbol was not only chilling but also highly symbolic. The crosshair, often associated with precision and lethality, perfectly encapsulated the Zodiac's methodical and ruthless nature. This symbol became synonymous with the killer, a chilling calling card for his reign of terror. Each letter he sent, each cipher he created bore this mark, making it unmistakable who the sender was. The crosshair symbol was more than just a signature. It was a brand of fear that he imprinted on the minds of the public and the authorities. The Zodiac's use of this symbol, combined with his cryptic messages and taunting tone, created a terrifying persona. His letters were filled with riddles and ciphers, challenging the police and the public to decode them. This not only showcased his intelligence, but also his desire to play a game of cat and mouse with those trying to catch him. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a cunning adversary, playing a deadly game with the authorities and the public. His ability to evade capture, despite leaving behind so many clues, added to his mystique. The crosshair symbol was a constant reminder of his presence, a taunt that he was always one step ahead. He signed his letters with this symbol and often included it with his ciphers. These ciphers, filled with complex codes and hidden messages, were a testament to his intelligence and his desire to be seen as more than just a killer. He wanted to be recognized as a mastermind, someone who could outsmart the best minds in law enforcement. Some believe he chose this symbol to represent his precision and skill in killing. The crosshair, often associated with snipers and marksmen, was a fitting representation of his methodical approach to murder. It suggested a level of control and expertise that made him even more terrifying. Others believe it was a way to taunt the police, showing them how easily he could take a life. By using a symbol associated with precision and lethality, he was sending a message that he was always in control, always capable of striking again. This added a psychological element to his crimes, making the fear he instilled even more profound. The symbol became a constant reminder of the unsolved case, a symbol of fear that lingered long after the murders stopped. Even as the years passed and the trail grew cold, the crosshair symbol remained a haunting reminder of the Zodiac's reign of terror. It was a symbol that kept the case alive in the public's mind, a reminder that the killer was never caught. To this day, the Zodiac symbol continues to fascinate and horrify, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in plain sight. It serves as a symbol of one of the most infamous unsolved cases in criminal history, a case that continues to captivate and terrify. The crosshair symbol is more than just a mark. It is a legacy of fear, a testament to the enduring mystery of the Zodiac killer.